Hey, hey, hey. Happy Thursday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, shockingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everyone. Tonight is Thursday, September 25th, 2025. This is a live show 1241. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out it's super casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And then normally I will take a first look at a game, which is what we'll be doing tonight. Every once in a while, I might just tackle a topic related to our hobby. And once every blue moon, I simply share the news and then just chew the fat with chat. But tonight, we're going to dive on in. We're going to take a look at Neon Rain for the Cypher System from Monte Cook Games. This is a cyberpunk genre book for Cypher. We're going to dive on in, take a peek at this in just a bit. Should mention, if you are tuning in for the first look, maybe you're not familiar with the show, we always tackle the tabletop gaming news first around here. So it's probably going to be about 40 minutes before we dive on into Neon Rain. So if you're watching live, just kick back, relax, enjoy yourself. It's been a long week already, I'm sure. Now, of course, if you're watching this after the stream has ended, possibly even on Memorex, there are timestamps. They are located in the show notes. And, of course, depending on the device you might be watching this on, might have them right there in the timeline of the video. So if you want to skip past the tabletop gaming news, you certainly can. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit gaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you will not find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Then, of course, because this is a live show, there is chat available. Now, you do have to be a subscriber to the channel for at least an hour before you can take part in chat. But if you check off that box and you've been hanging around for at least 60 minutes, you want to say howdy, if you get a question, comment, fire away. I'll do my very best to respond. First out the gate tonight is Semper Buffo, followed by one of our chat moderators, the Madman. W. Forge is with us, as is Kevin King, Michael Berry, Reading Aid, and very possibly the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D., another of our chat moderators, may just be lurking in the shadows. She of the glittery banhammer. Captain Infinity, Time Travel Police, and Roger Perdome are also popping on into chat. So welcome, everybody. Let's jump right on into the news, because the Scorched Basin role-playing setting is up for crowdfunding. I've got the scoop from HOMIEandTheDUDE. The Scorched Basin is a 300-plus page guide to a Mad Max / Dune-inspired desert tabletop role-playing game setting. As you attempt to survive the hostile terrains and brutal weather, you will encounter the savage tribes of the basin. The Scorched Basin's tenuous political web is one misstep away from an all-out resource war. Will you reignite conflict by breaking the Harmony Accords? Or will you choose peace by unifying the tribes? This sweltering land is jammed full of everything one might need for a campaign. Equally, if you already have an established world or setting, the Scorched Basin is the perfect pocket of exploration, allowing players to delve into a new, wild style of adventure. There is a Kickstarter video. It's a little more than 3 minutes in length, but let's give it a peek.
You come closer, my child. The Scorched Basin is savage and unforgiving. Hear me now. There is no honor in survival. When you get there, drive fast, have no mercy, and you must find the mysterious crystal. It will shape the future of the world as we know it. The enclosed basin is a stunning hellscape, bursting with 6 desert terrains and 12 key locations, ranging from an extravagantly corrupt fortress down to a humble warrior village. Within this tome, you will find a number of detailed battle maps to ensure you don't get lost like I once did. As you travel, the chaotic collisions of the 5 hostile tribes are simply unavoidable. The brutal Skara value strength, combat, and community above all else. Unruly riders live only for themselves through the insane speeds of their bashers. The nomadic unsettled wield a strange but powerful magic used to bring natural balance. Isolated, the Kai dynasty redefines corrupt grandeur. Their technologies and social innovation is beyond all the others. Sightless, the Doflok expand their underground citadel, singing out beautiful melodies as they scurry through the darkness. I have crafted extensive dossiers on each of their vibrant cultures, dynamic languages, scrumptious foods, and gripping plot hooks. Use my notes on 21 key NPCs as guidance as to who might aid you and who will end you. When you encounter danger, and you will encounter danger, flee for your life using one of 10 junker vehicles. Or, if you're feeling brave, risk saddling a wild creature roaming the sands. The Scorched Basin can be an entire campaign setting or simply dropped into your current world. I've collected epic expansions from some of your favorite creators to push your adrenaline-fueled adventures to the brink. Go, my child. Explore the setting. Find the crystal. And one last thing. I unearthed my true self within that hauntingly beautiful wasteland. I hope you do too. Back the Scorched Basin now.
Scorched Basin has passed the 500% Kickstarter funding mark. You can reserve a copy of the over 300-page hardcover with PDF and extras for a pledge of approximately $75. You want to just score the PDF? You can do so for a pledge of approximately $40 through October 9th. Expected fulfillment is this December for the digital items and February of next year for the hardcover. So pretty quick turnaround, especially on that hardcover. And you may recall Homie and the Dude from the Wandering Tavern, which I shared a review of not too long ago. That was going more for a Studio Ghibli vibe. This seems like this is going more with a Mobius vibe. Looks kind of cool though. And I have to laugh because DB asked if that was my voice doing the video. Funny enough, I was asked if I would take part in the promotions of this. I think, as I had mentioned at the end of that video, over 100 content creators, and I declined. So, no particular reason. Just, I kind of thought, well, there's over 100 content creators, and they were sharing some, and I had no idea who they were. And then there were a few who I did have an idea of who they were, and just not my bag of tricks. So I was like, nah, that's okay. No thanks. So I could have been part of it. That's kind of funny. Like I said, I had to laugh. DB, who has joined us in chat, had mentioned that. Kathy Evans and let's see, Chris Lundgren, as well as Wallona's Cave, have joined us in chat. We've got chat rocking and rolling so far tonight. Moving right along, there's a new supplement for the Monster of the Week role-playing game, which is out in print and PDF. And I've got the lowdown on... Oh, now I forgot to jot it down. It is the Slayer's Survival Kit. Pretty sure. And it is from Evil Hat Production. There you go. It is It's the Slayer's Survival Kit for Monster of the Week. Upgrade your arsenal. The odds seem overwhelming. Cryptids lurk in the shadows. Conspiracies unfold their twisted webs. And alien operatives walk among us. You are a hunter armed with grit, canny instincts, and determination. But is that enough? It's time to supercharge your abilities with the Slayer's Survival Kit, packed with new playbooks, teams, weird moves, and more. Your hunters will be ready to tackle the toughest foes in this expansion for the best-selling Monster of the Week role-playing game. Dive into adventure as the action scientist, changeling, or covenant. A total of 9 new hunter archetypes span genres from fantastical folklore to paranormal fringe science and visiting aliens. New team playbooks like the Artifact Collectors, Escaped Experiments, and Coven will unify your group around a common theme and grant your hunters access to new moves, special contacts, and custom gear. Beware, hunter, you'll also attract dedicated threats and mysteries. Expand your arsenal of options with new weird moves and alternate rules for using big magic. Arcane tools, bionics, and cursed magic items help you get the job done, while covert organizations provide the kind of support that won't fit in the back of your van. And if you still need more, there's plenty of fresh advice on how to build new playbooks, teams, and weird moves to make your Monster of the Week game uniquely your own. Plug in, power up, and stand fast in the face of danger. The 240-page hardcover with PDF is available by way of DriveThruRPG for $26.99. If you want to just score the PDF alone, you can do so for $17.50. I have told Elliot, my best friend Elliot, in the past, because his wife is such a huge Supernatural fan, he enjoyed it too. But his wife, we've mentioned this in the past, has watched the entire run of the series more than twice. I've mentioned to Elliot, why don't you run Monster of the Week? I mean, it is designed to be that sort of role-playing game. Plus, they're also big fans of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Nope. Got a surprised. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. Guess you don't love your family, Elliot. I'm just joshing. There's actually 2 big releases for Monster of the Week for Evil Hat. We'll talk about the other on Tuesday's show. So let's talk about saving you some money. Because Goodman Games has teamed with Humble Bundle to bring you the X-Crawl Extreme Dungeon Crawl Bundle. And I've got the deets on the deal. Extreme fun awaits with the all-new X-Crawl Extreme Dungeon Crawl Super Bundle. Say that 5 times fast. by Goodman Games. Explore a world that's a twisted reflection of our own. Roleplay is a hero in a live streaming obsessed society where fame, power, and survival are always on the line. This library includes thrilling campaigns like X-Crawl Classics number 6, Dooms to Go, X-Crawl Classics number 2, Tropic Crawl Cataclysm, and more. Everything you need to embark on epic adventures is packed into these X-Crawl gamebooks and beyond. Pay what you want for a fresh twist on the classic tabletop role-playing formula and help support It Gets Better with your purchase. The titles in this bundle are available by way of 2 partners, some on DriveThruRPG, some with Goodman Games. Now, you can jump aboard for $5 if you want to score all 44 PDFs, which are on offer. Yes, you heard me correctly. 44 PDFs. You can do so for a minimum donation of $30. Or if you want to go all in and actually score those 44 PDFs, as well as a physical collection of 4 printed X-Crawl adventures, we're talking about a value of $424 in total. You can score all of that for a minimum donation of $40 or more. Now, those printed adventures, those are while supplies last, and these savings will run through October 9th. I've always thought X-Crawl Classics sounded like fun, like a role-playing game that I would definitely want to play. And this is the most recent edition. So this is the new X-Crawl Classics that came out about, about a year, 18 months, something like that. Plus the first, I think it's 7 adventures, because there's a 0 adventure. There's the core rule book for Dungeon Crawl Classics included with this, although X-Crawl Classics core rulebook is self-contained. It's not something that you need to have the DCC core book in order to utilize. But gotta say, if you have ever considered taking a peek at X-Crawl Classics, this is certainly the opportunity to do so, and do it for very little money. Pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. So you say you want to save more money on role-playing games? Wasn't this good enough a deal for you? Well, I do have more RPG savings currently cooking. Fanatical is offering a smoking deal on 2300 AD. In fact, it is Traveler 2300 AD from Game Designers Workshop. And I've got the skinny on the savings. Set off on adventures in the stars with the 2300 AD RPG Classic Collection Bundle. Contained in this collection are 21 new to Fanatical RPG books set in the vast, vibrant, and vicious galaxy of 2300 AD, the spiritual successor to the terrific Twilight 2000. Set off on interstellar exploration in a universe brimming with life, and navigate rivalries as both Earth nations vie for power and alien species seek commerce and conflict. This crackling collection is broken down into 3 tiers, showcasing all 2300 AD has to offer, with a complete collection of rules, source books, guides, and adventure modules. Everything you need to bring the vast galaxy to life and take your game night to the stars and beyond. To infinity and beyond. Yeah, I can't really channel Tim Allen. He and I are vastly different people. Act fast and pick up your bundle today before this fantastic offer vanishes into the dark void of space. All right, so I'll be very honest with you. You don't have to act too fast because this does run through November. All the products included in this bundle are redeemed through DriveThruRPG. Now you can jump aboard for as little as $1, which is going to get you the original box set, as well as the Ranger supplement for 2300 AD. Or I guess I should say Traveler 2300 AD, because that was officially its title. If you want to go all in, score all 21 PDFs, you can do so for the tiny price of $8.99. And this will run through November 12th. I seem to recall Fanatical had an offer going on for the first and second editions of Twilight 2000. And I had shared that news piece. And from what I have seen, when Fanatical rolls out these role-playing game bundles, their deals last for a couple of months or more. And you might want to take a peek if you are really looking to get your hands on some just awesome old game designers workshop role-playing game releases. And the thing too is you don't even have to necessarily be looking at running Traveler 2300 or Twilight 2000 to get a lot of use out of these, because you can always use this stuff for inspiration if you're running a science fiction role-playing game. But what a rockin' deal. $9 essentially to get the entire first edition 2300 AD run. And I think it also includes the second edition rule book. So there is that. Captain Finity, Time Travel Police, says they have the original Traveler 2300. Never played it, of course. I had it too. That was, yes, that was also something that I bought. You know, I've talked about this before. I used to pick up role-playing games left and right. And I would just read them. And I would run Call of Cthulhu, and I would pick up all these other role-playing games, and I'd be like, yeah, you know, I wouldn't mind running this. It'd be cool. I like this. This is really cool. And I'd be like, nope, running more Call of Cthulhu. Chris Lundgren says they need to go back and run some Dark Places and Demogorgons again because they love that role-playing game. DB says, man, I love those covers. I'm trying to remember, is it Keith Parkinson? Was that the artist's name? He did a lot of GDW stuff. He did a good amount of, if I remember correctly, FASA stuff for Shadowrun as well. But I always think of his artwork for Game Designers Workshop. I think that was his name. I believe he passed away quite a while ago. But yeah, always had really excellent artwork. Really cool stuff. And I'm sorry if it's not Keith Parkinson. Hopefully I'm not like attributing stuff to the wrong people. But then again, yeah, I just pulled that out of the air. All right, let's wrap up with our final news piece, because there's a new Shadow Dark adventure which is out in PDF from Runehammer. And here's what I know about Cry of the Stingbat. Trogmen have thrown you in the pit. You are to be food. As dawn approaches, you know time is running out. Time until it all ends. Until you hear that terrible sound once more. The cry of the Stingbat. In this compact Shadow Dark gauntlet, players will be pitted against the most brutal real-time challenge imaginable. Certain death at the claws and needle beaks of the dreaded Stingbat swarm. All the map, story, and stats you need to run this wild ride, including a custom curated Spotify playlist, are included. It is published with permission and fully compatible with Shadow Dark by the Arcane Library. Good luck. The 10-page PDF is available over at runehammer.online for $2.50. And of course, if you're not familiar, Runehammer, makers of index card role-playing game, is it Crown and Skull or Skull and Crown? I think it's Crown and Skull. which I also heard really good things about. I did review an X-Card role-playing game. Thought it was excellent. Fantastic. Fantastic introduction, especially for people who don't want to get all bogged down in a lot of mechanics and things like that. Very, very cool. Almost like an idea generator, too, for games not even utilizing those mechanics. So this looks pretty cool. Pretty cool. Quick gauntlet adventure. Start off your characters at 0 level. DB says Crown Royal, they think. Oh, that's different. Crown Royal's different, DB. Said Stingbat sounds like Dingbat. Yes, Archie Bunker is the big bad in this. Very nice. All right, that is it for the tabletop role-playing game news this evening. Of course, I mentioned DriveThruRPG. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to go visit DriveThruRPG, Storyteller's Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, Wargame Vault, any of those One Bookshelf sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banners. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get 5% of that sale. All those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find the Gaming Gang to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, there are also a couple of other ways you can help support the outlet. First, by making a one-time donation by way of PayPal. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Oh, that's wet. And you can also become a monthly member of our Patreon. And you will find links in the show notes. Also down in those show notes, you'll find an invite link to our Discord server, absolutely free to come join us. So be sure to hang with the gang over on Discord. Hooray. So we are going to dive in. We're going to take a look at Neon Rain in just a little bit. Something I would have mentioned, I'm kind of curious. Maybe folks in chat want to chime in on this. So I watched the finale of Alien Earth. I also wrapped up season 3 of Foundation. I had an opportunity to watch Fantastic Four First Steps. I enjoyed all of them. So I'm kind of curious. No spoilers here. Absolutely no spoilers. I thought Alien Earth was excellent until the finale. I thought that final episode was a huge letdown. And I just thought to myself, okay, I get it. They figured, yes, there's going to be a second season, obviously enough. But what if there weren't? There are far too many shows out there that pop up, especially on streamers. And yes, I get it. You're looking at Alien Earth is FX, which is technically a cable network. But I think far more people stream FX by way of Hulu than probably watch on cable or satellite, things like that. But we see these shows, they'll come out and you get a season and there's all these cliffhangers and then nothing's resolved. And a lot of times, especially, you see this with Apple Plus has done this. Netflix does it all the time. They pull the plug and it's like, okay, well, thanks. Thanks a lot. So, I mean, it is a possibility that FX says, hey, yeah, Alien Earth was pretty expensive for us to produce. I don't think so. So Reading Aid says, yes, a little underwhelming, but the episode on the Maginot was an awesome Alien movie. Everybody is saying that. In fact, I was talking to Elliot, my best friend, earlier today, and I had asked him if he has FX because I'm pretty sure he's got Hulu, and I could have swore that FX is part of Hulu. Now, I might be wrong, but I thought you get FX on Hulu. So I told him, I said, you got to watch Alien Earth. I said, yeah, the finale is kind of a letdown, but I want to say it's episode 5. I completely agree with people who are out there saying it's the best Alien movie in 37 years. And I think, if I remember right, I think that episode clocks in at about an hour 12. So it is a bit longer, but yes, I most definitely thought it was really well done, but the final episode sort of, really, we get no answers. We get more questions than anything else. And it's kind of like, okay. It's like, all right. Foundation. I love Foundation. I started watching it with the first season. And I've mentioned this before. What I normally will do with shows is I will wait until they're done airing and then I'll binge. So like the new show that's with Ethan Hawke, that's kind of, I guess it's more like a noir kind of mystery. Heard good things about it. Just started this week and I'm already sitting there going, okay, so I think that wraps up in November. So I'll probably watch that. DB says, damn, Jeff, you just talked me into watching Alien Earth. No, not at all. Not at all. I'm just preparing you. Although the reality is maybe I was expecting too much. That's a possibility too. It is certainly a possibility that I was just expecting, a grand slam, and it was basically a Texas leaguer driving in a run. So no, I'm not trying to talk anybody out of it, but like Foundation. So I started watching Foundation, watched like the first couple episodes, and that's sort of like, I was never a huge Isaac Asimov fan anyway. I mean, I understand the laws of robotics and stuff like that. I was like, And then everybody kept talking about, man, it's so good. I thought, all right, I'm going to give it another shot. And I've talked about this in the past. If a show can't grab me by the third episode, we're talking about most of these shows have 8 to 10 episodes, period. If you can't get me on board by the end of the third episode, you've lost me. So thankfully, third episode of Foundation, I was sort of like, okay, all right. So I just watched the wrap up of that. Wow. It was another finale that I thought, you could have tied up a couple of more loose ends. But still, I thought it was really good. I thought it was very, very well done. And I thought Fantastic Four First Steps was really well done too. Not the greatest Marvel movie ever, but far better than a lot of the more recent Marvel films that had come out. And I really love what they did with Ben Grimm. Really like how because usually in Fantastic Four movies in the past, they really play up the whole Ben Grimm is, just so upset that now he's this monster and he's just never can come to grips with it. And he's always pissed off at Reed Richards because he feels it's all his fault. That was not the case here. I was like, man, that's cool. I was like, very nice. And I loved how there was that kind of like back and forth between the Thing and Human Torch. I thought it really captured the essence of old Fantastic Four comics really, really nicely. and as well as including some homages to like the first 30 issues of Fantastic Four. I thought it was very cool. Chris Leonard says they're going to watch the Fantastic Four movie on Disney Plus. They missed it in the theater. They loved the recent Superman. I liked Superman. I thought the actor they had portraying Superman did pretty well. And for a change, they actually got Lex Luthor right. That's one of the things that always drove me nuts about Superman movies. And even when they did the reboot and they had Brendan Roth as Superman, Lex Luthor's deal isn't real estate. Lex Luthor doesn't hate Superman because he's interfering with real estate deals. He hates Superman because he feels that the human race will never reach its potential because now they're too dependent on Superman. That is why Lex Luthor hates Superman. But yeah, so there's some discussion about the Foundation finale. It's raining men. Hallelujah. That's a pretty good one, Tessie Trekkie. That's pretty funny. And Reading Aid says, are you talking about Lee Pace? My wife's in love with him. So Chris Leonard asks, what do I think of the other Superman movie no one talks about, Superman Returns? That's exactly the movie I was just talking about, Superman Returns. It was all right. It was fine. The Lex Luthor shit is what pissed me off. Because it was like picking up the whole real estate plot line from Superman. And I was like, are you kidding me? Really? I was like, damn. Anyway, some good stuff to watch out there. So now I have to figure out something to occupy my time watching. Like, yeah, maybe I should catch up on the end of What We Do in the Shadows. I didn't watch the entire final season. Maybe that's what I'll catch up on. All right. Before we dive on in, I always like to give a shout out to our Patreon members. And at the $5 tier, we've got Gustavo Cavalho, Jason Lawman, Caval, Kevin R. Smith, Sean O'Donnell, and Talzek. $10 members, Dan Webb, GameCat, Kevin King, Pete Strakulich, RPG Munch, Tessie Trekkie, and Tier 2 DM, as well as our $25 level members, Agile Monk, Matt W., and the Madman. Very nice. Big tip of the caps. Tip of the caps. I'm only wearing one cap. Tip of the cap to ya. Thank you very kindly. All right, so we're going to dive on in. We're going to take a look at Neon Rain. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's coming. Here it comes. It's intermission time. Time to visit our concession stand.
If going to a movie show is right for you, if candy eating and popcorn chewing's right for you, if what you do is right for you, no matter what the others do, then RC Cola is right for you. It's not too heavy, not too sweet, it's right for you. RC Cola. RC's just an easy going, right for you. RC Cola. If what you do is right for you, no matter what the others do, then RC Cola is right for you. It's right for you. It's right for you.
Let's go go up to the surface for some Wilkins coffee.
I never touched the stuff. Oh.
You should. It's a whale of a coffee.
Welcome to the wonderful world of motion picture magic. Before the picture begins, I'm proud to announce that I'm proud. You should have gained something. Please, no talking. And there's no smoking. I'm proud to invite you to enjoy the exhibit in our lobby art gallery. The theater is available for rental on special occasions, and our gift certificates make fine presents. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get to our feature presentation, join us in previewing some of our coming attractions.
Have you ever jacked in? Have you ever wired tripped? You ready?
This is not like TV, only better. This is life. It's a piece of somebody's life. It's about the stuff that you can't have, right? The forbidden fruit. Straight from the cerebral cortex. I mean, you're there, you're doing it, you're feeling it. Are you beginning to see the possibilities here? I am your main connection to the switchboard of souls. I'm the magic man.
If it's got something to do with the water, sooner or later it washes up on your beach.
Fan mail from some flounder?
It's the dark end of the street. How do you like it now?
He records it all. Everything.
And gives it to you.
Why me?
There's more to this whole thing than you think.
Give us the tape right now!
You don't know how high up the food chain this thing goes.
Do you know what this tape could do if it got out? I see the world opening up and swallowing us all.
This is conspiracy paranoia. The issue isn't whether you're paranoid, Lenny. The issue is whether you're paranoid enough.
No more games. Whatever's going on, you have to get out of here now. Get him out.
This tape is a lightning bolt from God. It can change things that need changing before we all go off the end of the road.
It'll be an all-out war, and you know it.
Well, maybe it's time for a war.
Come on, man, cheer up. We're all gonna end in 10 minutes anyway.
Boy, that Ralph Fiennes, he's a good actor. Hey, I don't always share terrible movies with the trailers. Every once in a while, I'll float out a good film. I liked Strange Days. You know what? I didn't see it in the theater. I saw it on, it had to be probably VHS. No, wait, I think it's 95 that came out. So now I take that back. I think it was probably on disc. But yeah, sweet. W Forge has mentioned the new Avatar trailer has come out today. Very nice. Shazamba85 and Mike are with us in chat. Welcome to you both. So tonight we're going to dive on in. We're going to take a look at Cypher System Neon Rain from Monte Cook Games. This 224-page hardcover carries an MSRP of $49.99. If you want to get just the PDF, you can do so over at DriveThruRPG for $18.99. Probably also important to note, today is the final day of the Cypher crowdfunding project. If I remember right, I think it's on BackerKit. Yeah, it's either BackerKit or Kickstarter, one of those two. So just so you know, I am going to have a review of the Cypher System core rulebook this weekend, and I'm sure there are going to be some late pledges available for Cypher, so I will try to make reference to that. All right, so let's swing on over to the other camera, because here I've got Neon Rain. Neon Rain, Neon Rain. I know it's a different rain. Sorry about that. Couple of things to mention. Three things to mention before we dive on in. First of all, my friends over at Monte Cook Games were kind enough to provide me with Neon Rain, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this first look with you. It's important you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page of the book. I do want to give you a good feel for what you're going to find inside. And then lastly, it's my understanding that we have a setting here as well as a couple of adventures. So players out there, you have been warned, even though I have not cracked this open. There might be some spoilers as we take a peek. Let's take a look at the back here. As W. Forge asked if I was trying to sing Chocolate Rain. No, that was not what I was trying to sing. You know damn well what I was kidding about. Mark Hawkswell's joined us, says, the cover's very clean, like that. Yeah, I don't get a lot of dirt on my covers. Dance on the edge of what it means to be human in a world of gritty streets and slick technology. Holographic ads and fortified skyscrapers loom over the city's decaying streets. Criminal gangs battle in the alleyways while above the fray, faceless megacorps control political, economic, and military power. Cybernetics are as common as mobile phones, but even so, life on the streets is brutal and short. The line between survival and anonymous death often hangs on just one more questionable job. Take your Cypher System game into the cyberpunk realm with Neon Rain. Install cybernetic upgrades, use virtual reality to hack into corpo mainframes, and dodge guardians and traps built by hostile AIs. Smuggle designer drugs or tweak your own body chemistry and risk addiction and death. Chase and be chased at breakneck speeds on futuristic highways under a night sky. Then it tells us what we're going to find inside. Also mentions that we do need the Cypher System rulebook in order to utilize this. So this is not a standalone rulebook. All right. First off, let's take a peek at the credits page. A lot of folks work very hard to bring this to life. Let's give credit where credit is due. So we're going to have an introduction. We've got our player characters. We will have a GM section running a cyberpunk game, Edge City. That is our setting. And then we've got a couple of adventures, 17th Floor and Needle in the Haystack. And then a glossary and an index. Welcome to Cyberpunk. Maybe you're a fan of classic films like Blade Runner and The Matrix, anime like Akira or Ghost in the Shell, or novels like Neuromancer and Snow Crash. I could have swore that they're making a series out of Neuromancer. I might be wrong. They've talked about doing that forever. Or maybe your first taste of it was shows like Altered Carbon, Cyberpunk Edge Runners, or Westworld. Or maybe, how about Cyberpunk 2077? I think that's a lot of people's first exposure. Either way, there's something about it that scratches that itch in your head, the desire to explore a future where we didn't get what we were promised, or a world where things are out of control and nobody seems to be doing anything about it. But that's the world we're living in. W4 asked, what? No mention of Johnny Mnemonic? I almost shared that trailer, but a little copyright flag popped up. I was like, okay, not sharing that as part of tonight's brief intermission. Or maybe you're just drawn to the slick cybernetic implants and immersive virtual reality experience. There is a content warning telling us that Cyberpunk is a dystopian variation and an extension of the real world. You know, one thing I always find interesting is Cyberpunk games tend to always have like advertisements, you know, like fake advertisements in them. Of course, Cyberpunk Red, now taking a look at this, Neon Rain. So this is Jim Bob Agribids? Oh, Jim Bob Agribiz. Something we've pointed out as we've taken a peek at some of the other releases from Monte Cook Games. The artwork is always really good. I don't think the artwork to Monte Cook Games are second to anybody. Now, I'm not saying it's the best out there, but I don't think anybody just on a whole puts some as much cool artwork and really well done artwork in their books. So here we've got our player's overview. So it looks like it's going to give us some of the tenets of Cyberpunk. So we've got the future. So it usually takes place in a dystopian future, generally at least 20 years ahead of now. That, funny enough, that's, in my opinion, that's pretty close. That's why watching Alien Earth, it's not supposed to be that far into the future. And it's kind of like, hold on. Troy Cornelson is hanging with the gang, says Numenera always had incredible artwork and ideas. So you got cybernetics, we've got mega corporations, a handful of ultra powerful companies have monopolies or near monopolies on most consumer markets, including food, tech devices, cars, and military technology. Normally in a cyberpunk setting, it is the megacorps that are essentially the governments. Rain-slicked cities. Well, that's straight out of Blade Runner. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Poverty and inequality. Cyberspace, gangs, and freelancers. That's you. You're the freelancers. In a non-cyberpunk setting, you might be called mercenaries. In cyberpunk, it's common for chromed-up people to do dangerous gigs, stealing stuff from the megacorps, taking down gangs that get too powerful, and performing acts of corporate sabotage and espionage. It's time to put a team together. Someone who's tough, somebody good with weapons, a person who's really stealthy, and a skilled hacker. Which one are you? And then our setting is called Edge City, as opposed to Night City, which is in Cyberpunk Red. Here are our megacorps. Info about our prominent gangs. We've got new character backgrounds. Corpo, ex-cop, fixer, hacker, investigator, mechanic, military, nomad, and street rats. We'll get into our types and descriptors. Talking about our different tiers. So what do we got here? We got the solo. The solo type is a cyberpunk variant of the warrior. Mercenaries, soldiers, security guards, assassins, brawlers, and police officers are usually solos. Another aspect of Cyberpunk tends to be that the police are usually owned by a megacorp, or they are their own corporation. DB says city naming really falls off a cliff in the near future. Yes, it's our new Cyberpunk game that takes place in City City. Got the Hotshot. It's a type of cyberpunk variant of the Explorer with a knack for using technology. Burglars, drivers, and scouts are usually hotshots, as are some hackers and soldiers. We got the Broker. They are a cyberpunk variant of the Speaker without the overtly supernatural abilities. Fixers, journalists, media stars, corpos, and public relations specialists are usually brokers. And then we've got the Tech, which is a cyberpunk variant of the Adept without any overtly supernatural abilities. Hackers, medics, netrunners, choppers, and mechanics are usually techs. So we've got our 6 tiers of advancement, giving us our breakdowns there. So we got some new descriptors: Addicted, Corpo, Engram, Furious, and Luddite. What is the Engram? A common, it says, but I thought I was human this whole time. A common refrain within this uncommon demographic. You've got some Chrome, who doesn't? But you thought you were human at the core. As it turns out, you're not a mammalian body with machine augmentations. You're a machine intelligence housed in a body constructed from biological components. You're an engram, an AI personality based on someone else's consciousness. Short of an X-ray, invasive medical procedure, or catastrophic injury, you seem normal enough. You may have recently found out you're an engram, harbor suspicions that something isn't quite right, or begin the adventure oblivious to your own android nature. We got some new foci. So we have these focuses, otherwise known as foci. Some of them are builds robots, drives like a maniac, fights dirty, infiltrates, leads, looks for trouble, murders, never says die, runs away, solves mysteries, works for a living, and would rather be reading. As we've looked at some of the various different Cypher System releases, and I did recently review the starter set, which I did like quite a bit. I did find myself still kind of curious about the whole Cypher system about it. Gotta say, the core rulebook did clear a lot of that up. But of course, you're looking at 300 and some pages, so I would hope. So yes, they now make far more sense to me. And of course, I'll tackle that a lot more when I share my review of the core rulebook this weekend. All right, so taking a look here at some of the gear, some new equipment. Wow, these are all, holy cow, there's tons of these. Game console, color projector, landmine, poison sniffer, sub vocalizer. We've got different drugs. I like how they got the registered trademarks on it, or copyright, whatever, whichever. I think it's considered the trademark, even though it doesn't say TM. Or cybernetics. Cybernetics are personal equipment requiring surgery to add or remove safely. Augmented limbs, artificial organs, replacement eyes, brain chips for wireless communication, and so on. There are hospital surgeons trained in installing, replacing, or removing cybernetics, particularly for rich clients. However, most people, including most player characters, get their chrome done by surgeons in small clinics or back alley locations, especially if the hardware is stolen or illegal, or if they don't want extra attention from a mega corporation. Devices that look like natural skin are made with an outer layer of plastiflesh. DB says, Cyberpunk used to be a genre that was more varied, but it settled into a handful of tropes that never change. So they're not familiar with the Cypher System, but they are familiar with Cyberpunk. I would also have to say that Cyberpunk is not really a genre of fiction that we see a lot of anymore. Even William Gibson moved away from it. William Gibson is more of a mystery writer these days, although I think he still kind of dips his toe into science fiction a little bit once in a while. But I can't think of a cyberpunk novel that's come out in the last 10 years that made any sort of splash. Now, maybe I'm wrong about that, but I can't think anything that like kind of competes with the old William Gibson stuff, the John Walter Williams stuff, the Bruce Sterling stuff. I know I'm obviously leaving some other authors out that just aren't popping into my head. All right, building your cyberpunk setting. The cyberpunk is more than a look and feel. There are certain vibes running through the entire genre, even if specific aspects of a given story aren't obviously cyberpunk. Case in point, Blade Runner is cited as an incredibly influential cyberpunk film, though it does not have modular cybernetics, a common feature of cyberpunk. The film's use of cityscapes, rain, neon, hologram advertisements, music, and environmental damage cemented as part of the genre. You can make your campaign really feel like a cyberpunk world by reinforcing the following concepts and motifs during play: dystopia, cityscapes, rain, lighting, or was that lighting or lightning? Yeah, lighting. Capitalism, crime. Crime is rampant. Armed gangs roam the streets. The police barely make a dent and have resorted to posting bounties on known criminals in the hopes that vigilantes take care of some problems for them. Firearms for self-defense are ubiquitous, which adds to the tension and often leads to armed shootouts over road rage incidents, domestic disputes, and neighborhood grievances. Even for tough PCs who aren't afraid of getting mugged, the signs of crime should be common in the campaign. The characters should see and hear police cars racing by, distant calls for help and gunshots, armed toughs fleeing alleys, and people of all social statuses needing medical attention after a mugging or assault. DB's asking, when did Altered Carbon come out? It's got to be more than 10 years ago, I'm pretty sure, because didn't Netflix do a season or two of it? And that was a while ago. Poverty, squalor, environmental decay, isolation, drug culture, sexual revolution. That's one thing with a lot of kind of like cyberpunk tinged role-playing games in the past, especially. For some oddball reason, they were always like hypersexualized. Only with the women. Don't get me wrong here. It was only with the women mainly, which really didn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. Mega corporations. We have cyberspace, virtual reality. The guy in the chair. Despite all the negative aspects of cyberpunk, the internet or its equivalent, telephones, holophones, and pirate broadcasts provide a certain amount of freedom and anonymity. Secret revolutionaries and anarchists plot against the mega corporations, leaking info about their atrocities, finding backdoors and weaknesses in their cybersecurity, and recruiting mercs and influencers to strike out at the corps in any tiny way they can. These digital mentors and activists are often pictured as figures in the shadows, sitting at their computers, pushing information and agendas at targets across the city like chess masters manipulating pieces on a board. Most PCs get their first real gig from this sort of person, often someone they've never met in real life, just a voice on a holocall or an alias on an email. Now we got our themes, getting into slang, building NPC concepts using foci, mixing in other genres, aliens, androids, clones, cryptids, and other horrors. Now you start getting into, what was it? Was it Dark Conspiracy? That was another GDW game. Yeah, but I think Dark Conspiracy was like modern age off the top of my head. It was either FASA or GDW. Fantasy Species, well, then we're getting into Shadowrun. Kaiju, magic, psychics, religious beliefs, space travel, time travel, under people, vampires, werewolves, zombies, lions and tigers and bears. Oh my! Reading Aid said they got to play Cypher this past weekend, played Old Gods and Magna's Archives. They loved the experience. I am holding off on my reviews of, well, actually, we have not taken a look at Old Gods of Appalachia. So I've been holding off on covering like the horror Monte Cook Games releases because we're going to do that right off the bat in October. So Madman says Altered Carbon came out in 2018. Was that when the show came out or the book series? All right. Random inspiration. Hey, that's kind of funny. We have Cyberpunk locations, significant events. Got some new optional rules here for AI, cybernetics, ciphers and artifacts, dystopian society, game master advice and tools, and some miscellaneous tech. So the Madman says the show, but isn't the show based on a series of books? I would think the books would have been out a little bit before they were optioned. Or actually, maybe not be options, but actually go, there you go, the book 2002. Yeah, see, that sounds about right. So we have framed features. So it looks like this is building our cyberspace, actually, is what it looks like. We got our cybernetics. I will tell you, this is just absolutely packed. Hey, look, shit's treatment. I guess it's some sort of... Oh, yes. So it's... I know Cyberpunk Red has the same kind of thing where it's the more augmentation you get, your humanity suffers for it, or it could suffer for it. So I think that is what we're kind of looking at there. Almost along the lines of Otis in The Expanse, if you are familiar with that book series and TV series. He sort of has this detachment, and it gets, worse as things go along. In fact, he even has an operation. So, I know, spoilers, Jeff. So it looks like we've got quite a lot of optional rules here. So optional rules on drugs and drug addiction. Our GM advice and tools. We should be pretty close to moving into our setting. Hacking rules. Creatures and NPCs. So we got getaway driver. Oh, so here we got, these are NPCs to kind of give us an idea of how, like a fixer, security guard, and so forth. Netrunner, assassin. Then we get into our ciphers. So we have apps ciphers, malware ciphers. I'm sure we have like pharmaceutical ciphers, like drug ciphers. Cyberpunk ciphers. Death by 1,000 cuts. Fastest keys. Logic bomb. And this looks like this is cyberware ciphers. And things like these are now artifacts in that. They're not just one and done. It looks like we do have a chance for them to be depleted. See, that was what kind of threw me with the concept of the ciphers, because the way it's kind of presented is that they're, one shot, one use. But then in the core rule book, it expands on that, because if you had a magic sword, it's a cipher. Well, seriously, so the magic sword only gets one use? W. Forge says, he's more machine now than man, twisted and evil. Here's Edge City. The Edge City setting is your typical dystopian hellhole where, what is it, a shithole third world country? What the hell? Where cybernetics are common, mega corporations control almost everything, and the easiest way to escape from a life of poverty to become a criminal doing gig work for fixers, gang bosses, and anyone who can cough up the cash. The players take the roles of scrappy freelancers and hackers, just trying to make a little scratch and hoping for a chance to spit in the eye of the people who oppress them. So we're going to get into some information about some of the areas of the city, major neighborhoods, the gangs, set pieces. So a corporate tower, the Dome. SimCity is a simulation parlor where characters can net run in a contained local network, rent and play brain slides, and enjoy other immersive virtual reality experiences. The walls are lined with arcade cabinets, each offering a different experience in exchange for tokens, which patrons can purchase at the front counter. So we should be getting into our adventures soon enough. Yep. 17th floor. We'll just take a look at the synopsis. Immortech is working on some valuable new medical tech. The data is locked away in a server in one of their medical research buildings. It can only be accessed by directly connecting to the server, no remote hacking. The PCs need to get into the building, get up to the floor with the server, probably by going up to the 16th floor and then taking the stairs up to the server floor. Enter the server room, plug in and loot the data, then escape, which, depending on how they become involved in this gig, may involve getting to the roof and escaping on an AV sent to pick them up. Then we've got Needle in the Haystack. Looks like this might be a little bit longer. So it's the synopsis here is presented differently than for the other adventure. So it says a courier carrying secrets never makes his rendezvous. The PC's new gig is to track down Ali, the vanished courier, or at least the contents of his courier bag, and make the exchange on his behalf. Needle in the Haystack is an adventure suitable for 3 to 5 Tier 1 PCs. The adventure can be played as a one-shot or incorporated into a larger campaign set in Edge City or another cyberpunk setting. All right. And then we are going to wrap up with our glossary and our index. And that is a peek inside Neon Rain for the Cypher System from Monte Cook Games. Tell you what, I promised I would take a peek at the zine that came out for this. And give me a second here. I am going to go. I think I know exactly where it's at. So give me a moment. I know you're going to have to stare at this book for a minute. If I can't find it in about 60 seconds, I will be right back. Of course, no dice. Not over here. That's what happens. You get all this stuff sent to you. And it's like, oh, I know I saw it. Nope. Because it's just a little zine. My God damn. Oh, well. I will, you know what? When I do my review of Neon Rain, I'll review that as well. All righty. So that is a peek at Cypher System Neon Rain from Monte Cook Games. It is available now. The 224-page hardcover carries an MSRP of $49.99. If you want to grab the PDF, you can do so over at DriveThruRPG for $18.99. Hooray. DB asks if anyone had read Hardwired by Walter John Williams. I did. Just like, trying to remember, who was the author of Mirror Shades? Was that Bruce Sterling? There's discussion about the Quaid brothers. W. Ford says it's Randy Quaid that scares them now. Yeah, it scares a lot of people. A lot of people, that is for certain. So next week, we're going to dive on Tuesday. We're going to take a peek at World of Battle Zoo Indigo Isles. This is a setting book. You might recall I reviewed the Jewel of the Indigo Isles adventure from Roll for Combat a while ago. And this is actually the setting where that takes place. So we're going to take a peek at that on Tuesday. Wednesday, we're going to take a look at the Inquisition GM's Guide for Warhammer 40K Roleplay Imperium Maledictum from our friends over at Cubicle 7 Games. And then a week from tonight, we'll take a look at the 2022 update to Highguard for the Traveler role-playing game. So lots cooking. And then, as I mentioned, first couple of weeks of October, we're going to skew really heavily into horror, because I want to share stuff that if you're interested, and I'm going to have reviews as well, but it's things that it's like, oh, hey, that sounds really cool. I think, we'd have a good time doing a Halloween game. At least I give you some time to get it. A lot of times you'll see outlets out there, they'll do Halloween adventure reviews, and it's like, oh yeah, it's October 30th. It's like, well, thanks a lot. I guess I'll put it on my things to do for next year. I'm just saying. That way, give you a little bit of time to maybe go pick stuff up if it's cool. I saw something else poking out. I'm like, hey, wait a second. Is that the zine? No, it's not. All righty then. So that's it for tonight's show. If you were watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, tip of the cap to you, because not only are you keeping me company, you're also keeping each other company as I'm doing the news or flipping through a role-playing game book or unboxing a board game. But of course, I know a lot of folks out there, they don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you for taking time out to watch any of the over 2,300 videos here on the channel. Much appreciated. Everybody enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings, right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. It'll also let you know when I share other videos, such as my upcoming review this weekend of the Cypher System core rulebook and my recent review of Call of Cthulhu, Sutra of Pale Leaves, Carcosa Manifest from Chaosium Inc. Speaking of horror, all right, everybody. Thank you very kindly for watching. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. And until I see you next time, I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.